This November, we are set for an epic showdown in the UFC's heavyweight division that some argue has been years in the making. We'll see the newly crowned champ, Jon Jones, face off against the long-term heavyweight contender and former champ, Stipe Miocic at UFC 295. Join us in this video as we dive into a deep breakdown and discuss what would happen if these two met inside the octagon. Be sure to stick around until the end to get our official prediction. Earlier this year, Dana White finally announced that they had booked Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic as the main event of UFC 295. The highly anticipated showdown is set to go down on November 11th at Madison Square Garden. The fight had been in the works for some time. After Jones was announced he was planning a move to the heavyweight division in 2020. It was long before the idea of a fight against Stipe for the interim title was circulating due to ongoing contractual problems with Francis Ngannou. However, after the Cameroonian decided to leave the promotion earlier this year, rumours appeared suggesting we would see Jones take on Stipe for the vacant heavyweight title. Ultimately, it didn't come to fruition, and Jones ended his 3-year hiatus by finishing Cyril Gane by way of submission this past March at UFC 285. Afterward, Jones declared he was the greatest of all time and quickly called out Miocic, who sat ringside at the T-Mobile Arena. Now, we are a few short weeks away from one of the largest heavyweight showdowns in the history of the UFC. With that being said about the matchup, let's discuss the background of both fighters and what led them to this highly anticipated heavyweight clash, starting with Stipe Miocic. Stipe Miocic was born and raised in Euclid, Ohio, by his parents who were Croatian immigrants. Miocic played a handful of sports from his early years, including baseball, football, and wrestling. He continued to wrestle throughout college and took up boxing, becoming a Golden Gloves champion. Miocic would begin his MMA career by finishing his first 6 opponents by way of knockout. During this time, he became the heavyweight champion of the Ohio-based promotion NAAFS. The UFC eventually snatched up Stipe in 2011 and he signed a multi-fight contract. He debuted against Joey Beltran the following October and won by way of a unanimous decision. Miocic went 8 for 2 in his next 10, earning himself a shot at Fabricio Werdum's title. When the pair met at UFC 198, Stipe finished him via knockout in under a minute. Miocic defended his title on 3 occasions, including victories over Alistair Overeem and Francis Ngannou. However, he was finished by Daniel Cormier at UFC 226, which was the first of 3 fights the pair would have. In the rematch at UFC 241, Stipe got his revenge and finished DC in the 4th round. In the trilogy, Stipe came out on top again, only this time by unanimous decision. Miocic's most recent match was against Francis Ngannou at UFC's 260, where he was brutally finished in the 2nd round. Now, he's set to return to the octagon to face off against Jones. With that being said about Miocic, let's discuss the background of Jones. Jon Jones is a fighter who needs no introduction, often considered the greatest of all time. He first began training wrestling in high school. After competing on the national circuit throughout his school years, he eventually dropped out of college to chase his dream of becoming a professional mixed martial artist. Jones quickly amassed a professional record of 6 wins and 0 losses in just 3 months after turning pro in 2008. After successfully drafting Moses Gabin at BCX5 for the light heavyweight title, Jones was picked up by the UFC. Bones made his UFC debut against Andre Gusmail at UFC 87 in 2008. He went on to earn an impressive decision victory after taking the fight on 2 weeks' notice. Jones followed this up with a victory over veteran Stephan Bonner at UFC 94. The young star was given the only career loss after being disqualified against Matt Hamill for an illegal elbow. After this, Jones went on a 3-fight win streak, earning him a shot at Marcio Rua's lightweight strap. After successfully defeating Shogun Rua, Jones became the youngest ever UFC champion at just 23 years old. Over the next 9 years, Jones would defend his lightweight title on 13 separate occasions, earning victories over legends of the sport such as Rashad Evans, Glover Teixeira, Chael Sonnen, and Daniel Cormier. Not long after defending his title against Dominic Reyes at UFC 247, Jones revealed that he would vacate the title and move up to the heavyweight division. However, it would be 3 years before we saw him back in the octagon. He met Cyril Gane at UFC 285 and finished the French fighter by way of guillotine in just 2 minutes into the 1st round. Now that we've discussed how Jones got to where he is, it's time to break down the strengths and weaknesses of each fighter, starting with Stipe. Strength number 1. technical boxing. If we were to pick one major strength in Stipe's game, he has hands that can do serious damage. Miocic builds up offensive movements for a selection of jabs. This goes right back to his boxing days, and he's been able to utilise this in MMA. Miocic can use jab to fine range and won't hesitate to throw flickers, power jabs, double jabs, and even jab feints, depending on the situation. This was evident in his fight against Mark Hunt, where he showed the world just how crucial a jab is. The power and technique of Stipe possesses in his hands have given him a considerable advantage over other heavyweights for many years. Such a skill set may be his way of giving Jones a run for his money. He's knocked out high-level strikers such as Junior Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem, using a combination of intelligent footwork, head movement, and perfect timing. Strength number 2. Wrestling. Stipe has always been considered a great wrestler. He's got excellent takedown defense, which will undoubtedly help in a fight against Jones. While Stipe is certainly not known as the flashiest wrestler, his techniques are effective. We don't generally see him use his wrestling in an offensive fashion. However, we know he has the skills necessary to hold off Jones if he tries to take the former champion to the ground. Now, let's discuss his weaknesses. Number 1, fairly easy to hit. Over the years, where we've seen Stipe's movement slow down a little, with many pundits suggesting that he has become too easy to hit. There are a few reasons for this, but his style is the most obvious. Miocic excels as a counter-puncher and is confident in his head movements. However, he's not afraid to sit and wait in the pocket, and this is where fighters like Jones will exploit him, using a flurry of kicks, knees, and elbows. Number 2, submission game. While Stipe is considered a great wrestler, he doesn't have a high-level submission game. He's never won a fight by way of submission. However, he's never been submitted either. While he's been able to use his size to his advantage during scrambles with other fighters, he could be in trouble if he ends up in a dangerous position with a high-level submission artist such as Jones. With that being said about Stipe, let's discuss Jones' strengths and weaknesses. Strength number 1. High-level striking. Jon Jones is one of the most gifted technical strikers in the history of the UFC, never mind at heavyweight. He is powerful and athletic in the pocket, using every limb to break down his opponents. He has one of the longest reaches in the UFC at 84.5 inches and knows how to use it. He can control the distance with long jabs and mixes it up by throwing side kicks and lead knees to hold his opponents back. If Stipe manages to get into boxing range with Jones, we may see him employ the signature elbows that devastate opponents when they land. The champ's striking game is forever evolving, and the most challenging part for Stipe will be trying to read what's coming next. Strength number 2. Submissions. Jones is also as dangerous in the grappling department as he is in the striking. He has some of the best wrestling credentials in the UFC and has a plethora of skills in his arsenal. While Stipe may be able to defend Jones' double leg takedown, if the champ can get Miocic to the ground, we may see him employ his technical submission skills. This could be a huge problem for Stipe, who's not seen as a high-level BJJ practitioner. Over the years, we've seen Jones finish various opponents with an array of submissions. Miocic has never been tapped out in the UFC. Then again, he's never come up against someone like Jon Jones. With that being said, let's discuss Jon's one weakness: overconfidence. Jon Jones is his own worst enemy for more than one reason. One weakness that caught him off guard in his previous fights: he can be a little overconfident. While he's considered the GOAT, he is still sharing the octagon with some of the world's best fighters. This was evident in his fight against Machida. In the first round, Jones thought he could stand and trade with him. However, his elusive counter-striking led to Jones getting caught with a flush right in a round he lost. Being overconfident against someone like Stipe may backfire and end up with Jones eating one too many heavy punches. So now that we've broken down both fighters' strengths and weaknesses, it's time for our official prediction. But before we do that, we hold a monthly shout out on our channel. All you need to do to enter is comment "I sub" in the comment section below. So make sure to comment and you'll be in with a chance of winning. When Jones and Stipe share the octagon at the end of November, no doubt we are in for a thrilling matchup. Both competitors have been at the top of their fight game for years and have the technical abilities to produce a fight that could end up in the Hall of Fame. However, when it comes to who we believe leaves the cage with the heavyweight strap around their waist, it's difficult to imagine any scenario in which it isn't Jones. We believe the champ will be able to keep Stipe at a distance and slowly break him down with his trademark side and leg kicks. It's hard to imagine Jones finishing Stipe, so we surmise that the fight will go the distance. However, Jones will take home a comfortable unanimous decision after 5 rounds.